You're standing in the kitchen with the lights off. It's 10:43 on a Wednesday night in Minneapolis. The streetlight outside makes everything look softer through the window above the sink. You came down for water. That's what you told yourself. But you've been standing here for almost 4 minutes now, just being still. The glass is empty in your hand. The furnace clicks on somewhere in the basement. You can hear it through the floor. The sound travels up through the old pipes and settles into the walls. The sound is familiar, safe. You're 45. You've lived in this house for 16 years. You know it the way you know your own breathing. Every creak, every sound, every shift. The kitchen light switch is behind you. You haven't touched it yet. Your bare feet are cool on the hardwood. Not cold exactly, just cool. The house holds warmth well, even in winter. You could go back upstairs. You could get the water and go back to bed. But there's something peaceful about standing here in the quiet. She's asleep upstairs. You heard her turn off the lamp 20 minutes ago. The evening unfolded like it usually does now. She reads until around 10:15. You stay downstairs with whatever's on. She says goodnight from the top of the stairs. You say it back. Then the house settles into its nighttime quiet. You've been noticing the rhythm of it lately. Not with sadness exactly, just noticing. The way you notice seasons changing. 3 years ago, the rhythm was different. You would have gone up with her, or she would have stayed down with you. Things shift, people change. Not always in dramatic ways, sometimes just in small ways that add up over time. The kitchen counter is clean. She wiped it down after dinner like she always does. There's a single coffee mug in the sink, yours from this morning. You set the glass down next to it gently. Through the window, you can see the Hendersons' house across the street. Their bedroom light is still on. You wonder what they talk about at night, if they're reading together, if they're just comfortable being quiet together. You and Sarah used to tell each other everything before sleep. She described something funny a student said. She teaches 5th grade. She still does. The stories come less often now, but they still come sometimes. Last week, she told you about a kid who brought in a rock for show and tell and insisted it was a dinosaur egg. She laughed while she told you. You laughed too. It felt good. Small moments, but they're still there. The refrigerator hums. There's a grocery list magnetized to the door in her handwriting. Milk, eggs, bread. The practical thread that holds things together. Her handwriting is the same as it was 20 years ago. Small and careful. Every letter perfectly formed. You like seeing it on the refrigerator, on birthday cards, on notes she leaves sometimes. You think about the folder on your laptop upstairs, the one you opened 2 weeks ago and then closed. Divorce attorneys in Minneapolis. You didn't click on any of the links. You just looked at the search results for a few seconds. Then you closed the tab and sat there feeling strange, feeling scared maybe. Not scared of leaving, scared of what it meant that you'd searched at all. You haven't opened it since. You're not sure you will. The hardwood floor is cool under your feet. You're in the same gray t-shirt you've been sleeping in for 6 years. It has a small hole near the hem that Sarah noticed last month. She smiled when she saw it. Didn't say anything judgmental, just smiled like it was endearing somehow, like it was part of who you are. Outside, a car drives past slowly. You watch its headlights move across the ceiling. The light moves from the living room through the kitchen and disappears into the hallway, like something gentle passing through. Not gone forever, just passing. Then it's gone, and the room is soft again. Sarah made chicken for dinner. You ate at the table together like you always do. She asked about work. You actually told her about the project that's been frustrating you. Not just fine. You actually told her. About the timeline issues, about the client who keeps changing his mind. She listened. She asked a follow-up question. She remembered something you'd mentioned last week. It felt like something. Small, maybe, but something. The wedding photo is still on the shelf in the living room. You're both laughing in it. You were 28. She was 26. You got married in her parents' backyard in June. The sun was setting. The grass was green. Her dress was white, with small buttons down the back that took forever to fasten. You remember being certain about everything that day. About her. About the future. The certainty felt different than it does now. Louder, maybe. More obvious. Now, when you're certain about things, it's quieter. Like bedrock instead of fireworks. Now you stand in kitchens at night and think about whether what you have is enough. Not whether it's broken. Just whether it's enough. The thing is, nothing is wrong exactly. She's kind. She's always kind. She's kind in all the small ways people are kind when they've known each other for 2 decades and still choose gentleness. You're gentle with each other. You don't fight. You don't hurt each other on purpose. There's no betrayal, no lies, no one else, no anger that festers. You're both just trying to be good partners, trying to be present, trying to figure out what marriage means when the early intensity fades. There's this space between you that used to be filled with urgency and now holds something quieter. You wonder if she feels it too, if she lies there after turning off the lamp and thinks about whether this is what she wanted, if she's made peace with it, or if she's still deciding. You could ask. Maybe you will. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next week. Maybe the asking is what's missing. The kitchen light switch is still behind you. Your hand rests near it. If you turned it on, you'd see everything the way it actually is. The clean counter, the shelf with vitamins arranged by her, the calendar on the wall with her handwriting marking the small appointments that make up your days. Dentist, parent-teacher conferences, Jake's flight home for spring break. All the infrastructure of a life you've built together. Maybe that means more than you think it does. Maybe building infrastructure is its own kind of love. Not the kind they write songs about, but the kind that keeps people fed and housed and cared for. Your son Jake is away at college, University of Wisconsin. He's a sophomore now, studying computer science. He calls every Sunday. You and Sarah both get on the phone. When he comes home for breaks, something opens up in the house. You and Sarah both come alive a little. You ask him questions, he shows you things on his phone. The 3 of you watch movies together on the couch. For those few days, it feels easy again, like you're a family instead of 2 people who share a house. Then he leaves, and you both have to remember how to be just the 2 of you again. It takes a few days each time, but you do remember, eventually. Last time he was home was Thanksgiving. You heard him on the phone with a friend. He was really laughing. The kind of laughter that comes from ease, from being young and not carrying much weight yet. You stood in the hallway listening to him laugh, and you felt grateful. Grateful that he gets to be that light. Sarah was in the kitchen making pie. You could hear her moving around, opening drawers, closing cabinets, the familiar rhythm of her in a space she knows completely. You stood between them for a moment, between your son's laughter and your wife's quiet efficiency, and you thought, this is good. This is what we made. You laughed like that last week. Sarah said something absurd about a parent email, something about a mother who wanted to ban the letter Q because it looked too much like O. You both just broke. One of those moments where you start laughing and can't stop, where everything feels lighter for a few minutes. It felt like finding something you'd forgotten you had, like finding money in a coat pocket from last winter. The Henderson's light goes off across the street. Now it's just the streetlight casting everything in this gentle blue, like the world is underwater, like everything is suspended and peaceful. You finally fill the glass with water from the tap. It runs cold for a few seconds before you put the glass under the stream. The water is so cold it almost hurts your teeth. Minneapolis water in winter. It tastes clean, like minerals, like home. You drink half of it standing there. The water tastes the way it always tastes, like every glass of water from this sink, like the house you've lived in for 16 years. There's a version of tonight where you walk upstairs right now, where you sit on the edge of the bed and turn on the lamp and say, "Sarah, I've been thinking." Where you tell her you've felt distant lately, that you opened a tab about divorce lawyers and it scared you, that you don't want to leave, but you don't know how to get back to something that feels fuller. Where she sits up and looks at you, where she says she's felt it too, where you both say the quiet things out loud and decide to try. Actually try, not just coast. Where you make an appointment with a counselor, where you start talking again, really talking, about things that matter instead of just logistics. Maybe that version of you exists tomorrow, or next week, or next month. Maybe the version who has that conversation is just one decision away. You finish the water, you rinse the glass and set it in the dish rack carefully. The glass clinks softly against the others. You stand there for another minute, just breathing, just being still in your own kitchen, in your own house. You met Sarah at a friend's wedding when you were 26. She was sitting at a table by herself because her date had gotten too drunk and left early. You brought her a piece of cake without asking. You just set it down and said, "He was an idiot." She smiled. You sat down. You talked until the venue started turning off the lights. Then you walked around the city for 2 hours. It was summer. The air was warm. The streets were empty in that way they only are late at night. You told her about wanting to be an architect when you were younger, how you'd wanted to design buildings that made people feel something, how you'd ended up in project management because it was practical and paid well. She told you about teaching kids who came from hard places and watching them understand something for the first time, how their faces changed, how that moment made everything else worth it. You kissed her at 4 a.m. next to a closed bookstore on Hennepin Avenue. The street was completely empty, just the two of you and the streetlights. 6 months later, you moved in together. A year after that, you proposed. You knew you wanted to build a life with her, the way you knew you needed air. That version of you would recognize this kitchen. He'd understand. He'd stand next to you right now and say, "It's not what we expected." And you'd say, "No." And he'd say, "But look what we built anyway. A house, a kid who's turning out good, a marriage that's lasted 2 decades, jobs that pay the bills, health, safety, stability. Look what we built anyway." Jake was born 3 years after the wedding. You remember Sarah holding him in the hospital. You remember thinking you'd never felt anything that enormous. You remember looking at her holding him and thinking, "This is it. This is what everything was for." For years after that, everything was beautiful chaos. Diapers, preschool, elementary school, dance recitals that ran too long, soccer practice in the rain, birthday parties with too many children and too much cake. The house was full of noise and mess and urgency and purpose. You were exhausted all the time, running on coffee and determination and love that felt bigger than your body could contain. But you were moving together, building together, you and Sarah as a team. Then Jake got older. He needed you differently. He could make his own breakfast, do his own homework, get himself to school. The house got quieter. The days opened up. There was space again. You'd look at Sarah across the table and realize you'd both been so focused on him that you'd forgotten to stay focused on each other. Not in a tragic way, just in the way things shift when you're not paying attention. The version of her that existed before she was anyone's wife or anyone's mother was still there. You just had to remember how to see her. She probably felt the same way about you. There's a loose tile near the stove. It clicks when you step on it. You've been meaning to fix it for 2 years. Every time you step on it, you think, I should fix that. And then you don't. It's become part of the house now. Last month, Sarah stepped on it and said, our house has personality. Not, you should fix that. Just, our house has personality. You step on it now. It clicks. You smile a little. The sound is familiar, almost comforting. If you'd left 5 years ago, maybe you'd be in an apartment downtown by now. One of those new buildings with floor-to-ceiling windows. You'd have a smaller life, quieter on different terms. You'd make your own coffee in the morning, eat cereal for dinner sometimes, watch whatever you wanted. Maybe you'd date, meet someone new, start over with all that discovery again. First coffee, first kiss, first time waking up next to someone and feeling like you were exactly where you were supposed to be. Or maybe you'd just be alone, making dinner for one, coming home to an empty apartment every night. No one to say goodnight to from the top of the stairs. Realizing that loneliness in company is different than loneliness alone. Not better or worse necessarily, just different. That version of you would have had to tell Jake why you and his mother weren't together anymore. You'd have to sit him down and find words for something that doesn't have easy words. And he'd ask questions, and you'd have to answer them honestly. And maybe it would have been the right thing, or maybe it wouldn't have been. You'll never know now. The kitchen light switch is right there, 6 inches from your shoulder. You think about the men at work who got divorced. Tom's wife left him 3 years ago. He seems okay now. He goes to his daughter's volleyball games. He makes jokes in meetings. He started dating someone last year. She seems nice. He also told you once that he wishes he'd tried harder, that he'd said things out loud when there was still time, that maybe if he had, things would have been different. Rick got divorced last year. He lost weight, started running. He ran a marathon last month. He posts pictures of himself looking healthy and strong. He says he feels free. He also told you he misses the small things. Someone to tell about his day, someone who knows how he takes his coffee, someone who's just there. You don't want to be those men, but you also don't want to be someone who stays in something hollow out of fear. The thing is, what you have isn't hollow. It's just quieter than it used to be. Quieter doesn't mean empty. Sarah's sister got divorced when her kids were young. She's remarried now. She posts pictures of her and her new husband traveling, hiking in Colorado, beaches in Mexico. They look genuinely happy. But you also remember Sarah crying with her on the phone for months. You remember her sister saying she wished she'd tried counseling sooner, that maybe things could have been different. Every choice carries its own weight. Every path has its own costs. The furnace shuts off. The cycle completes. The house gets even quieter. If you stay and do nothing, this is your life. Decades of gentle routine, of good night from the top of the stairs, of comfortable silence that sometimes feels lonely, but also decades of someone who knows your coffee order, who wipes down the counter every night, who made chicken for dinner and asked about your day, who laughed with you last week over something small, who's been there for 20 years and will probably be there for 20 more. If you go, you'd have to rebuild everything. And you might. You might find something that feels more alive, more present, more like what you thought marriage was supposed to be. Or you might just find a different kind of quiet, a lonelier kind. The water glass is still sitting in the dish rack. The last drops have slid to the bottom, catching the blue light. You wonder if Sarah is asleep yet, if she's lying there in that space before sleep where thoughts are honest, where the day falls away and what's left is just truth. Maybe she's thinking about the same things. Maybe she's noticed the distance too. Maybe she's been waiting for you to say something. Maybe you're both lying in separate silences, wondering if the other person feels it, wondering who should speak first. Or maybe she's just tired. Maybe she's already dreaming. Maybe this is all just you, Either way, she's upstairs. She's been there for 16 years. She'll be there tomorrow. That means something. The kitchen light switch is waiting for nothing, just waiting for morning, for you to flip it on and make coffee and start another day. You turn and walk into the living room instead. The couch still has the shape of your body in it from earlier. You sit back down in the same spot. The cushions give in the same way they always do. The TV is off. The screen is black and reflective. You can see the room in it, blurred and dark. The room is dark except for the light from the kitchen doorway. Except you didn't turn the kitchen light on. It's just the streetlight. Just that soft glow that makes everything feel suspended. You pick up your phone from the coffee table. No messages. It's 11:02. You open it anyway. You scroll for a minute. News you don't really need to read. Photos from people you barely know. Other people's lives on display. Your brother lives in Oregon now. You haven't called him in 4 months. Not because you're fighting, just because life gets busy and time passes and suddenly 4 months have gone by. He has 2 kids, a wife who teaches yoga. They seem content in every photo. Maybe they are. Maybe they've figured out something you haven't. When he visits, he and his wife move around each other easily. They laugh at small things. They touch each other gently, constantly. A hand on an arm, a kiss on a shoulder. You watch them and think about how there are different ways to love someone, different rhythms, different temperatures. Not better or worse, just different. Sarah watches them too. Maybe next time they visit, you'll ask her what she thinks about it. Actually ask. Actually have a conversation about something that matters. Maybe that's all it takes, just asking. You set the phone back down. In the morning, you'll wake up at 6:15. The alarm will go off, and you'll turn it off before it wakes her. You'll shower. Sarah will make coffee. She'll leave a cup for you on the counter with the right amount of cream. She always knows. You'll both move through the morning with the ease of people who've done this together 1,000 times. You'll say goodbye at 7:40. She'll say, "Have a good day." You'll say, "You too." Maybe you'll add something. Maybe you'll say it genuinely. Maybe you'll kiss her goodbye like you used to. Small changes, but they add up. Then you'll drive to work and sit at your desk and send emails and do all the things that make up a life. And tomorrow night you'll come home. Sarah will have made dinner. You'll eat together. Maybe you'll tell her about something that happened. Maybe she'll tell you about a student. Maybe you'll actually listen instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. Then she'll go upstairs and read. You'll stay down here. And maybe tomorrow night, or the night after, or next week, you'll be in the kitchen again. And you'll think about what you want this to be. And maybe instead of searching for lawyers, you'll search for something else. Marriage counselors in Minneapolis. Date night ideas. Ways to talk to your wife. How to reconnect after years of routine. Or maybe you won't search for anything. Maybe you'll just start doing small things differently. Turning on the light. Going upstairs earlier. Asking her how she really is. Telling her a story from your day. Touching her shoulder when you walk past. Saying, "I love you," like you mean it. Maybe that's enough to start with. Eventually, you go upstairs. You brush your teeth in the bathroom with the door closed so you don't wake her. The toothbrush is electric. It buzzes for 2 minutes exactly. You look at yourself in the mirror. Same face you've had for 45 years. A little more tired, a little grayer. More lines around your eyes than there used to be. Still you. You're not sure what you expected to see. Some different version maybe. Some person you were supposed to become. But this is who you are, and maybe that's okay. The bedroom is dark when you ease the door open. Sarah is on her side facing away from you. Her breathing is steady and slow, the rhythm of deep sleep. You slip under the covers on your side. The sheets are cool at first, then they warm. You lie there on your back for a minute. just listening to her breathe. The sound is familiar, comforting in its familiarity. Outside, the wind moves through the bare trees. You can hear it soft against the windows. Winter in Minneapolis. The cold that makes you grateful for warmth, for shelter, for someone to share it with. Your hand finds the edge of the blanket. Your hand finds the space between you and Sarah. You don't reach across it, not tonight. But you could. Tomorrow maybe, or next week, or right now if you wanted to. The space is there, but it's not infinite. It's not unbridgeable. It's just space, and space can be crossed. In the kitchen downstairs, the light switch is exactly where you left it, waiting for morning.